Hello and welcome to Gaming Again. My name is Muzz and welcome back to the Football Manager 22 online server with myself, Luke and Stuart. How we doing?
Alright. Good, mate.
Good. So we're just going to get straight into it. As you know, me and Stuart got promoted and Luke is still in League One after the disappointment of the playoff final. We're going to start with myself, and we're going to start with my favourite aspect of Football Manager, the transfers. Now, I will be the first to admit that the transfer window this season may have been a bit longer than it should have been. And I will take some responsibility for that. And I believe it is definitely quite a bit on me. Basically, I think I'm quite good in the transfer market. However, I had a bit of a mare, and we will start there. So, it's probably my first signing actually was Mr. Phil Jones. Now, on paper, you're thinking cracking signing, unbelievable signing. I love a marquee signing, and he is that. But he's kind of it for honestly the wrong reasons, because I didn't understand how wage contribution worked, and so I thought if I was paying him 30k and Man U were paying 20k, I thought I would only be paying him 10k for the seasons that I had him. That's not how it works. So he's getting a wage of 50k, but I'm paying 30k of it and Man U are paying 20k of it. So after this season, I'm going to be paying 50k. So that kind of threw me a wee bit. I'm not going to lie and say that it didn't. However, I think I recovered in the end. I made some really good signings, free signings. I got and used my connections to Liverpool to kind of get some loans as well, and I ended up really happy with the season. So free transfer, we got Ben Woodburn, and we got Michael Halen. Yep, we'll go with that. For free, both going to be kind of squad players. Now this boy Gonzalo Estevez is one for the future. Potential ability 4 stars, potential of going up to 5 stars, 2.5 star current ability, so perfect kind of backup squad player for the right back position. Max Kilman, a great signing. This is actually probably one of my favourite ones that I've done this season, just based on the fact that it's a loan for this season, but he will be joining me next season for 3 million, which is, in fact, 1.6. That's very cheap, actually. Oh, well, I thought it was 3 million. Maybe it is 3 million. Elliot Thorpe, one for the future again. I think he's on loan somewhere. Some free signings again. They're kind of younger players. Stefan, but Nico Williams, great right back, really attacking right back. He's going to be a key feature in my attack, and he is already proving his worth by getting a few assists already. Left back again, Leif Davis is one that I've actually had in previous FMs. Young, English. I think if he doesn't become a first team regular, I can at least sell him for a bit more than what I got him for. One of the biggest ones was Anthony Elanga. Really needed him back. It just provides a completely different dynamic with the pace and the ability. Fantastic player. And then we come to what was honestly a bit of a tough position for me to find, which was goalkeeper. So I've ended up signing 3 goalkeepers. We've got Brandon, Dominique and Jonathan Bond, all very capable goalkeepers. Happy with all of them. But my main boy Dominique will be there, and it's nice to have a keeper who can pass the ball. That's all I'm saying. The kicking has really been a feature of my game this season, and it's just nice to watch it go back to your goalie and not absolutely shit yourself because you think he's going to pass to someone, the opposite team. Somerville was a player that I actually wanted to buy. I should have bought him, but I messed up the negotiations, and then Sport Lisbon came in and they got him. And again, it's just pace, just raw pace. Has got some decent dribbling, but the acceleration of the pace is really going to do well for me down the right hand side. And then Joel is a cracking player. I mean,
Joe
Joe Podjapolo. Yep, we'll go with that. We'll go with that one. he is. He was playing at Bayer Leverkusen. I think he's been there, and just you see the key stats here: 16 finishing, concentration, and off the ball 16. He's going to really, really thrive, I think, in the Championship. And a few other ones that I'm not really. Yeah, a few ones that don't really need to be talked about. Not really that much big outgoings, apart from I did have to sell Dennis Sirkin to Tottenham. That was a clause they had in the contract. So they bought him for $6 million and sold him for $6.5 million this window, which was a bit of a waste because he's a very, very good left back for me. And yeah, he could have really went on to, but Tottenham would have probably came in at some point anyway in the future, even if he did stay. So kind of glad I got that because that saved my window essentially because I was really struggling after the Phil Jones malarkey. That was really, really tough, but I think in the end I have brought it back. In terms of how we're doing in the league, I will talk to you about that. We've actually started off quite well, I believe. We're 6th in the Championship. We've had some very interesting results. Away draw at Hull, got through the Carabao Cup. Home draw at Brentford, but I didn't have a keeper at this time, so that was a factor. We had Ross Bridges, even though he did get a 7.2. Fair play to Ross Bridges. He'll probably never play another game for Sunderland again. But then we come to some great results. Barnsley away, a game we should have been nowhere near. I think we ended up with a XG of 0.8 and Barnsley had like 2.3. It was a ridiculous result. Shouldn't have happened, but it did. Norwich, we beat them in penalties. We actually played really well that game. Should have scored a lot more, but we didn't. Swansea, good win. Now we come to Portsmouth. I think if I had to say my opinion of the game, Stoogie would have just edged it, even though I think I had the biggest chance when it was 2 each. But Stoogie just edged this game and probably should have come away with more than he did. But he doesn't have Ross Stewart, so arguably he shouldn't have come away with more because Ross Stewart is just the man. Crystal Palace. This was a game that we actually were unlucky to concede a late goal, but you take an away result against a team like Crystal Palace who have come down. And then the next 2 games, home games, have been great. We've really found our stride. My boy Joel has scored. He scored 2 in 2 games. He scored 8 goals, which is ridiculous. So if we get the ball to him, he will score. Rotherham as well have really. We're into the 4th round of the Carabao Cup, which is against Wolves, which is going to be interesting because they are the team that I was in the previous online server. So yeah, and then an away draw at Blackburn, which again unlucky to concede a late goal, but Ross Stewart scoring again. And actually, my 2 strikers are making up the top 3. I think Joel's number 1 with 8 goals, and Ross Stewart is number 6. So I'm finding a way to play them together at the minute, just because they're banging the goals for me. So that is me going well. This is a season without pressure, really. I think my aim is to avoid relegation, which if we continue on this form, we'll be avoiding it by Christmas, which would be nice. Do I think we'll have a chance at a playoff? I mean, you never know. You look at the teams above me, and there's some really good teams there. West Brom, Brentford, QPR, Leeds. Ipswich are above me, which is really interesting. They're really having a great start to the season. Seems like all 3 of the promoted teams from Sky Bet League 1 have really had a good start to the division, so that is good to see. It seems like clean sheets are a big thing for Ipswich at the moment. Their keepers get the most. But that is me. We'll move on to Stoogie Brown with his transfer activity.
Alright, let's on to Portsmouth. I'll just start with some of the boys I got in. So looking back to the 2021-2022, I got a few boys in before then. So just starting with Teddy Bishop, a nice wee fringe centre mid, nothing special. I got a couple of boys in for MK Dons since they got relegated down to League 2. So I just thought, might as well grab a couple of their players, because they're not bad. So I got in David Kasimu, decent VCDM, young, good stats, quite pleased with that one. and I got in their star keeper, Andrew Fisher, again, young, English. So he's definitely a good all-rounder, so I'll take him. Another one of my players that I spent a wee bit of big bucks for is Fernie Dijksteel, who you might have heard about before, Dutch centre mid, centre back, right back. So he's not bad, I'll take him.
He looks good. Looks like a good player.
And to fund, we'll go on to the next page, shall we? So my next couple of transfers were two transfers that I didn't think I'd get, mainly because they're so good, So the first one, Dylan Levitt, won a free transfer, formerly of Dundee United, formerly Man U. He is a bowler, master player, and he will prove to be one of the best players in the world coming up soon,
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bold claim from Mr. Brown.
You've ruined it there.
My next player that I also got a free, I had in my last save with you boys, with Leeds, Kun Timen Yuzkov. There we go. Classic Balls 9 striker, which I plan on playing this year.
You do love a false nine, don't you?
So I'll try that out in the championship, see how that goes. And then really my last few signings were mainly just squad signings, nothing special. Maybe one player who is pretty decent. If I can do Caladio, who I'm sure will be familiar to a lot of the FM regulars. Inter Milan Academy graduate. Is he?
No, he played for Milan. I think he is a academy graduate, yeah.
It's got good value on him anyway. For 91k, it's valued at 8 million to 10 million.
It's a brilliant bit of business.
I couldn't believe the price tag on him, so I just quickly bought him, and the rest of my signings panic buys.
Well, you signed Reece James from Blackpool, but I mean that's a great signing. Didn't know Chelsea sold.
Oh, aye, yeah. So he'll prove to be one of the best signings of Portsmouth's history. To get Reece James in. So yeah, thank you. So you'll notice that I have got quite a few players in. I've got a few players out, but the one big thing is I've made decent profit. So I've made about 1 million, something like that.
You do.
Just under 1 million.
So I'm pleased with that. I've got a few more bucks to spend, but I'll save that for maybe January.
If you needed some reinforcements. And how has your season been going?
I'm very pleased with my performance. It's just we can't really see out games. I've been conceding a lot of set plays, corners, free kicks, that sort of thing. So overall, I'm happy, but it could have been better than us. I've started them off. I got a couple of wins. My first game of the season.
I mean, you smashed Crystal Palace in the first game. I mean, that must have been you must have been rubbing your hands together, thinking this is it.
Yep. I mean, I couldn't quite believe it. My star signing, Dylan Levitt, I believe got 4 assists that game. And I was playing against all the big boys as well. I was playing against Louis Zaha. What's his face? Odson Edward, who Crystal Palace actually went on to sell. So I was very pleased with that result. And apart from that, just a few draws. And another one against Millwall. So
I didn't realise how unlucky you've actually been. You've only won 2 games.
Well, he's an expected points Stuart Stud. He's been really unlucky. He's 11 points places behind where he should be.
Just a lot of set piece goals. They're low XG. So that's it.
That's it.
And you saw that out.
Right.
You used to be the king of set pieces.
Well,
Don't know you.
Nah. Playing a different style of football this season. So overall, what's your expectations for the season, kind of going forward?
My bold expectations is just to fight bravely against relegation, which I'm sure I will at least do. So I'm hoping to maybe get a decent mid-table, so that maybe top half. I'll be very pleased with that.
Sounds good. And then we come to, last but not least,
Thank you.
the Bolton, who are flying in League One. So let's talk about your transfer window.
Sure. So start with, I'm similar to Stuart. You need to look at last season just briefly. For my first loan in, which was taking advantage of my link with Chelsea. So Ian Matson, really pleased with him. Big fan of him. He's doing really well in real life. So I'm really pleased with that loan. I also sold Lloyd Isgrove for 85k, and that's about it. So if you move to 2022, 2023, it's a very League One window in that a lot of the players I had from last season didn't want to sign new contracts, or have decided they don't want to sign a new contract next season in the last year. So I had to kind of move them on, or let them go for a free. So I had a lot of players that left, leaving me with quite a big kind of wage budget to fill. Big for Bolton. The key thing for me this window was that I had a clause in Rob Holding's contract that was a sell-on clause for 20% of his next sale. Bolton are in dire straits financially, so I could have waited and maybe down the line, if he got a 40-odd million deal, if we sold for 40-odd million, I would have made more than 3 million. But 3 million was on the cards, and it would have brought us into the green. So I took it, and I got to spend some of that on wages, which was okay. But the most important thing is that one of the board expectations for me was to fix the club's financial situation. That was something that I had to achieve by the end of next season, and I achieved it within 2 weeks of this season, so I'm pretty pleased with that. So yeah, in terms of players I brought in, a lot of free agents. Reece Devine, decent left back, quite technically good, can maybe improve defensively, but he'll be a good backup to Ian Matson or Dan Potts. Luke Dreyer, actually, in one of my personal saves, he's the vice captain of Crystal Palace, so I was really surprised to see him going on a free, and they're in the Premier League at that point as well. So he brings a bit of leadership to a squad that is quite disjointed because there's a lot of new players coming in. So I'm really pleased with him. Some loans from Chelsea, brought in Jude Sunset-Bell, who was my main target this window. Really pleased to have brought him in. He's one that if I can keep going the way I'm going in the league and get promoted, I'd probably want him back, because he'd probably be ready for Championship football as well. So pleased with that. Jordan Shipley, very technically good midfielder. Harvey Vale, technically I did make a mistake here with Chelsea, I won't lie. With the rules with loans is that you can only loan in 4 players from a specific club. I thought I just could loan in 6 players from Chelsea.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that. And with affiliate clubs, you can't terminate those loans. They can be recalled, but you can't terminate them. So I brought in Harvey Vale and Luke Badley Morgan as backups. It's a shame because Harvey Vale in real life is so much better than what he's rated in FM. But they might not see much football. Hopefully they'll get some appearances here and there, but they were a bit of a waste. But the rest of it, my free transfer, I'm really pleased with. Danilo Pereira, he started very well. I know he was of interest to you, Muzz. Really good striker. Benik Afobe, he's got good pedigree, especially at kind of Championship level. So really pleased with him. Ashley Richards, 30-odd cap for Wales. Had a bad injury a few years ago and moved to a club in the Welsh League. Got him on a free, so really pleased. Dan Potts on loan from yourself. He had a good season last season with you, so I'm quite happy with it.
The greatest left back in Sky Bet League One history.
But the most crucial deals, I think, were probably the final 3 that I did. All window, just because I'm Bolton. It's very hard to bring in players. Most teams that compete for the similar kind of player to me will get the player because people choose them over Bolton. Which I'm trying to change that, but it's challenging. So I missed out on lots and lots and lots. Can't express how many players I missed out on. But I was still needing 2 or 3 centre backs by the final day. If I didn't get them, I was going to be on 2 centre backs for the first part of the season. which would have been dreadful.
Would have been
I could've-
horrendous.
And my next best centre back is a 2-star, 1.5 star centre back, so it's not good. So I went and looked just on my FM knowledge. These two guys, Namandi Collins and Bright Arimbai, I bought in in my Chelsea save before. Also in the Newcastle save that we've uploaded, I brought Bright Arimbai. Really decent young centre backs. Hopefully they'll improve. And that means Bayern and Dortmund will get a good deal out of it, but they're already really good for this level. And Conor Masterson's the first money deal that I've been able to make is Bolton. 15k.
15k. Breaking the back.
15k. Yeah, it brought me down to £0 in budget for that side of it. I do have some wage left over, but yeah. The sales, there's nothing in particular that's. I made a couple of sales. Steve Lawson, Bakayoko, and Declan John. They're about 205k. Jordan Ibe done his time with me. I was happy to let him go and get the wage back. He was needed last season. He done his job, and now he's gone. So, but the one thing that's not included on this that I should mention is my goalkeeper, who was a hero last season for me, Abdoulaye Diallo. I offered him a contract at the start of the season, and he failed his work permit. So a bid then came in from Brighton. He then failed that work permit as well, and this is his last year on his deal. So, and I've got not much hope he's going to get lots of caps for his country.
Yeah.
So he kind of needs to go. So a bid has been accepted from Orlando City for 1.5 to 1, rising to 1.8 million.
That could be huge.
Which is huge, but it's
also
one of my best players.
Yeah, losing.
One of my best players. So I think if I know the window right, he'll leave either start of January or the end of January.
Yeah.
So once that's confirmed, I'll know when I need to get a goalkeeper for. So that's what I'll be looking for in January. But hopefully, because it's a decent amount of money, I'll be able to spend a wee bit of money on this deal. So hopefully, I will be able to get a decent replacement in.
Yeah, you can get a goalkeeper for a few years to really cement that position.
That would be good.
Well, let's see how you've been getting on in the league. Seems like you've had a good start.
Yeah, not pleased with my start. I've only conceded 1 goal in the league this year, which, to be fair, my centre backs who were having to play every game up until the last game of the window were pretty stellar. They played really well. One guy for sure was playing way above what he could do. So we've defended really, really well. So I'm really pleased with that. We should be scoring more than we have been, but we're playing really well. It's a shame that we've not got 6 wins out of 6. But every team we've played so far at the start of the fixture has been in the top 6, which is really quite cool. So, and I don't know if it's the same again for today.
The next one's second.
I play second, yeah. So we're playing against teams every time who are in decent form and coming away with good results. So I'm pleased with that. And next month looks like a very healthy month for teams in the lower end of the table. So hopefully I'll be able to push on.
Oh, well, that is good. I mean, it seems like we're all kind of doing well, which is rare. It is rare that we're all flying at the kind of the start of the season. Usually there's a few bumps along the way, but yeah, if you want to see more and you want to keep in touch with this Football Manager server, then all you need to do is hit that subscribe button, and we will keep the Football Manager content coming. I think we've got no plans for stopping the server for a while yet, and we will keep it going as long as we can have interest in it, which, if we're going off previous servers, will be a hell of a long time before we stop it. So, anything to add, gents?
Nope.
With all that said, all that's left to say is any thoughts, comments, general hostile remarks, leave them below. Thank you very much. Bye bye.